Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. Just going to be a quick one. This is the 300th edition. Where's the camera on the mobile? It's down here. I should have put it the other way around. I was just watching a video on YouTube, Mr. Cheswick's video, which I don't know if it was his or he was sharing it. I know Dale from Beyond the Imaginary Curve mentioned the video as well, which was about I don't think it was a child. It must have been an older adult by the sounds of it. Maybe it was a teenager. I'm not sure. But the voice sounded older. Was being kicked out of a class for saying that there's only two genders, which biologically is factually accurate, I believe, isn't it? Even if you want to bring in the idea of people who want to swap genders or who want to be trans or whatever, they're still moving from one gender to another, male to female, female to male, whichever. Although I know now maybe there's an in between. Anyway, whatever you believe, the fact is that in the place of education and schooling, that the teacher was shutting him down because the national authority says this is what it is, but forgetting that everything that we believe is based on what people before have decided is the case. Yeah, some things are intrinsic, some things are natural. Like we do know there is two sexes, a male and a female. We know that by the genetics and whatever. And that, such things as like how bodies of water, are level or flat, whichever term you want to use. So we know there's intrinsic things that we all can establish, but there's lots of bits of our lives, and this goes on to my next point, which our understanding is based on the system that we live in, that has come from generations of people long before us, that have written down in books, and that educational people in power, media, all different types of people, they spout that stuff out without even thinking. We all do. And the problem is the way we perceive our life is full of a lot of fallacies and lies and inaccuracies, and we go along with these things without even thinking about them. For instance, the meaning of life, the way we live currently in this system to make money. That's how most people will believe, that they have to make money to be able to survive, to be able to get a house, to be able to do all these things. Possessions is another part of life. All of this is old world system, as I like to call it. It's old ways of thinking of things. But to try and get your mind around that is the big problem. And I think the problem is even people who want a new system, truthers or whatever you want to call us, we struggle as well, because we are a product of this system, even though we want to get out of it and we want to change it and we want something new. The problem is because we're part of that, we'll always have those failings. Even if you go back to the question of religion, which a lot of people will strip things back and get to God. What if, I do believe there was a creator, because for us to be the way we are, the complexity of humanity, the complexity of nature, the complexity of all these things and how things are rebirthed and all this kind of stuff, the world is all the magical things that you look around at, how it is, to think that could happen by accident, it just seems too far-fetched, no? And I don't know which is which, because how can any of us know? None of us can really know. That's faith, as it were. But it logically does point me, although my thinking obviously is based on old world thinking, like I'm saying, points me to the fact that something created us. Now, the problem is do we know God, as we call him? It's a Greek word, it's not his name. Do we know who he is? Because we've been given the Bible and the Quran and other different religious textbooks, but has God been co-opted, like all these other things that we talk about being co-opted, the way we live being co-opted, the truth being co-opted? What if God has been co-opted as well? What if there is a creator, but we don't really know him? All we know is man's interpretation, that there's these men who came along and realized that there's power in this tale, because humans like to weave stories, and there's great power in stories. We know that through films, we know that through politicians, how they debate, through Socratic thinking and all that kind of stuff, the trivium and all that. It's all about the power of communication, how you can change a person's thoughts, how you can create, all of us are created based on language, have been programmed, as it were, with all these thoughts and how we think and how we feel, all this, the old world system. So how do we know God hasn't been co-opted as well? That the God that we think we know through the Bible, the Quran, and all the different other religious textbooks, is that really who God is? Because there's a lot of contradictions between them. I know a lot of religions are very similar, and that in the past used to make me think that, yeah, these were factual books, because if you look at the Quran and look at the Holy Bible, the Old Testament, the Torah, there's a lot of similarities. Like, I think it's over 99% of it is the same kind of teaching in all the different religions. A lot of the things are the same, and people misinterpret it and do all things like that. But so is that because it's true, or is it because people copied from each other? I don't know, but we've got to be honest. If we know that we've been lied about so much things, which comes from 9/11, comes from flat Earth, it comes from the day-to-day livings. We all know that we've been lied to. The Iraq War. You can go through your whole life. The job they do, the fact that for a job you will lie, the fact that people lie all the time for money without even knowing it. Even small little lies of propping up the system without even knowing it. If you really look at these things. So the fact is, we need to understand that we need to look at everything honestly, no matter how much we want to hold on to it. Because there's people who want to hold on to the globe, there's people who want to hold on to Christianity or Islam. But do we know they're true? That's the big problem. Are they just been created to keep us in power? Because we've got to remember, that's a big thing. When you strip things back, especially when it comes to flat Earth and stuff like that, it goes back to the Creator. And it gets back to religion, and then that holds you back again. It holds you because you have to, your understanding of the life that you live is then weaved by those religions. Now, I believe in religion. I was a Muslim, and I do believe in Allah, and I do pray to Him, and especially when I'm worried about my wife or my twins or whatever, for their well-being, I will pray to Him. I believe there is a Creator. I don't know if those religious texts show Him, but the problem is what we need to be able to do, to be honest, rather than all this bickering, which I'm seeing a lot of recently. And I don't want to go into things because I'm not into judging and everyone's equal, but there's a lot of this, like, I was here first, and my voice is whatever I'm saying, without thinking that we may all be wrong, or we may have fragments of right, or there's a different journey, we may get to different parts at different times. And we need to understand that this bickering and the way we are is an old system teaching to divide us. Or maybe it is intrinsically part of humanity. That that's my worry, is that even if I see even within truthers and flat Earth, there's a lot of debate and people slagging off this person and that person. So even if we did have the ability to get to the truth, would we as a species be able to live as one? Or we're always going to have these fractions, we're always going to have this silly squabbling of a power battle, and I want to be right, and I want to be more powerful than I want to put you down, and all that kind of rubbish. I can see a lot of that going on, and I'm not trying to judge, because I'm sure I fail as well, because I'm part of the old system. I've been taught by the old system. So no matter how I want to be part of a new system and get rid of the old one, I still have those same failings, because that's how I've been programmed, how I've been taught. That's the only thing I know. I'd have to wipe myself completely and start again under a new system to be able to think differently and act differently. Take care, take it easy, God bless. Peace.